Welcome peeps to a discussion video on the Doctor. My name's Archdruid Dre, and today we are going to be looking at a more of a thematic change to Madness, most specifically to Madness as a whole, but more directly to the way you tier up, and then how essentially Tier 3 is going to work moving forward. Bear in mind, this is my own idea I've been working on, so take everything that I say in this video with a grain of salt. This is just to maybe help spark a little bit of discussion, to make the madness mechanic of Doctor to be a little bit more healthy for the game, because in my opinion right now, the madness mechanics aren't exactly that great. They don't feel that good to go against. Most specifically, Madness 3 is very oppressive in a lot of situations that arise with it are kind of problematic and just don't feel very good when you're on the receiving end of it. Mostly looking towards, like the hostage dock builds, and just the super heavy prevalence of being able to slug and keep people slugged very, very easily with Doctor. I want to change a lot of this. So let me just dive right into this idea for my thematic change to Madness, aka Static Charged. So, starting off with Madness Tiers 1 and 2, they would become called Lingering Charged, and then just Charged. Work in progress names. Bear that in mind. It would just be a visual effect on survivors. That's the only change from what he is on live right now for Madness 1 and 2. Every time you tier up into those, you'll scream, reveal your location, and then if you have affliction add-ons, it'll do things like that. And then the random position skill checks, you'll have the % chance per tier. That's all fine. The big change comes down to Madness 3 or Tier 3, where I call it Hypercharged. It'll make it so that the survivors are like very much pulsating with electrical energy from their hands and arms for the duration of the effect. One of the biggest changes here is it'll no longer prevent you from working on gens, being able to heal, or sabotage. However, there is going to be a caveat to that. With the healing, you'll be able to pick people up, but you won't be able to fully heal like somebody. So if they're in the injured state, you won't be able to heal them, but if they're in the dying state, you will. So I wanted to get that out there. It's going to still be a little bit of a slowdown in that essence, but you won't be as punished if the killer decides to slug. Moving on past that, that was probably like one of the biggest changes. It just felt like a very outdated mechanic. It just really can be very oppressive and very unfun to go against. And I recognized that, and I wanted to do something to change it. So instead, this is what we have. Tier 3 will now last for a flat total of 30 seconds. And at the beginning of it, when you enter it, you scream, and when it fully runs out on that timer, it will also cause you to scream. Both revealing your location during that. However, there is a new little bit of an interaction with generators, and if you are interacting with a generator, this timer will go down at twice the normal rate. So you can have it last 15 seconds instead of 30 if you were on a gen immediately when you tiered up. This special interaction with generators I have called Discharge. So you are essentially working on the gen, and every few seconds you get a very large, rather easy to hit skill check that doesn't have a good or a great success zone. It's essentially similar to what the snap out of it skill checks are currently. And this special skill check, if you hit it, it doesn't do anything positive, but there is a little bit of a drawback to doing it, and that is your personal progress on the generator for the next 2 seconds is paused. And you do a little mini scream when you succeed it, like you're jolting, like arcing electricity into the generator. It's just a kind of a cool little idea. So every 3 seconds a skill check will pop up, and if you hit it, great. If you don't hit it, it'll blow up just like a regular skill check would. The purpose of all of this is to still remain giving Tier 3 a form of slowdown into Doc's base kit, while at the same time still allowing survivors to actually actively do something, rather than just, oh hey, I can't do anything, and if I get chased, like, there's literally nothing I can do to, like, help my team. It's like, the whole purpose of this idea is to make it healthier to go against and interact with Tier 3 as a whole. And just generally make it feel a little bit better and less just completely oppressive and unfun to go against. Because that's probably my biggest concern with Madness 3 currently, is the unfun factor of it. Now, some of you also might be wondering, like, okay, so every, like, couple seconds that you're working on the gen, you can just let go. No. There's also going to be a drawback of, if you hop off the generator, you'll still get the skill check popping up at the next 3 second interval. So like if you got off the gen at 2 seconds, a second after you hop off the gen, the skill check will appear. No matter what, you'll have the skill check happening. As well as also, if you let go of the gen, you're going to lose 2% progress from the generator flat. Because you don't want to, remove that electricity that you're interacting with the gen through the discharge mechanic. This is to prevent sort of like a cheesing strat, which right now with snap out of it, there's a little bit of a cheese where you can hold down the snap out of it interaction, and right as you hear the skill check sound notification, you can let go, immediately tap the snap out of it again until you hear the sound, let go, and back and forth, back and forth. So you never technically have to hit a skill check with the current snap out of it. I want to prevent cheese while also still, making it not super, like, just unfun and negative. Like, I don't want it to be too hindering, but I also still need it to be hindering enough to, actually be useful, So essentially, after this timer has been used up either through discharging or just by walking around and maybe just doing other things, be it whatever it is you're doing in the match at any given point, you'll scream, and I made a change. Instead of going back to Tier 1, it would bring you back to a completely null state. So you would be completely out of any tiers. The reason for this is I'm making a change to where it'll go from... The doc will be able to tier people up to Tier 1 and Tier 2. The moment they hit Tier 2, as they are running, as they are working on gens, or saboing, or doing any form of interaction, or running, they will build up the charge on them, which will bring them into Tier 3. It goes faster if you are doing interactions, and slower if you are just walking or running around and not doing any interactions. this will be at a rate of roughly a 20-second period to go from tier 2 to tier 3. If you're working on gens and whatnot, or doing other interactions, it'll go up in a period of half that time, down to 10 seconds. The main reasoning for all of this is I want to be a little more fast and frenzied, but also at the same time, feeling like there's a little bit more survivors can do to play around the madness mechanic, rather than just being permanently stuck with the madness mechanics. Because currently, when you snap out of it from tier 3 to tier 1, you are just always stuck with pretty much the basics of the madness effects. But I want to make it so that the doc has to be aware of when he is pushing people into higher tiers of madness, or in the state of higher tiers of being charged, so that way he can trigger like people starting to go into tier 3 of hypercharged and get the sort of slowdown side effect of it. It would make it a little bit more of an interaction between the doctor and the survivors, and in my eyes, that can only be a good thing, because currently it's not very interactive at all, and that saddens me. I care a lot about the doctor, and I care a lot about how fun it is for people to go against the doctor, hence why I wanted to do this video and sort of discuss it a little bit. This is a topic very near and dear to my heart. That being said, I do want to discuss this. I wanted to like maybe spark discussion for this idea, or modifications to this idea, or new ideas, like something that we can do and then maybe bring to behavior to make it a little bit more of a healthy interaction between the doctor and all potential survivors that go against him. But anyways, that about wraps it up for my idea for the madness thematic change and madness tweaks. Thank you guys for dropping on by. I will be sure to put a link to my Twitch in the description down below. If you ever have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to post them on the video. If you want more direct discussion, feel free to drop by any of my streams. I stream 4 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. Roughly around 3 p.m. Eastern Time. But thank you guys for joining me in this little bit of a discussion and delving into it. I appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys later. Thank you.